Heart disease ranks among one of the leading causes of deaths in America for men and women, regardless of ethnicity. In 2020, nearly 700,000 people died from this illness. Major risk factors for heart disease include diabetes, physical inactivity, and obesity, all of which can be related to a common factor: diet. An unhealthy diet seems to be a prerequisite for many risk factors that increase one's risk for heart disease, but there is much confusion in today's society about what constitutes a healthy diet. Consequently, many diet programs have been developed as a method to reduce health ailments such as heart disease. Though many diets can lead to better overall health if properly implemented, the paleo diet has the most potential to lead to a healthy heart.
The liver is the main source for the high-density lipoproteins HDL and low-density lipoproteins LDL. These run from the liver onto the hepatic veins and cycle through the heart back to the arteries. The good HDL works using reverse transport to carry the bad LDL back to the liver to be converted into matter for excretion. Along with the liver, foods high in saturated fats such as full dairy, fatty meats, and chocolate are responsible for bringing in low-density lipoproteins into the body. Although the LDL delivers cholesterol to tissues, too much of them are problematic for cardiac health. The next couple slides further explain the importance of cutting saturated fats from a diet. Increase in LDL from a high intake of saturated fats leads to a person being more prone to coronary heart disease or heart attack because of blocked blood flow to or from the heart, respectively. This is because excess LDL that aren't able to be transported by the HDL are digested by a form of white blood cells known as macrophages. This process forms foam cells that eventually undergo apoptosis and build up as plaque on the walls of blood vessels. If this plaque ruptures, blood clots form, blocking blood flow. A clinical longitudinal study conducted by the Cooper Institute in 2018 measured the long-term effects of low-density lipoproteins through studying a population of over 36,000 participants across 26.8 years. The graphs displayed show the LDL levels for the 1,086 CVD deaths and 598 CHD deaths. Another importance of a balance of lipoproteins is that when not as many of HDL are needed for transportation purposes, they work to protect beta cells, which in turn increases insulin secretion. This makes it possible for the body to use sugars for the energy it needs and then store the rest. When there's a low ratio of HDL to LDL, there's a higher risk of type 2 diabetes and leads to poor regulation of using sugar for fuel. This lifestyle-related chronic disease leads to keeping excessive sugar in the blood and can damage blood vessels, which increases the risk for heart diseases.
Another highlight of the paleo diet is the absence of added sugar, processed foods, and grains, all of which negatively affect cardiovascular health. Overconsumption of added sugar is associated with multiple pathways leading to heart disease. A 2014 study even found a positive correlation between added sugar intake and risk of cardiovascular disease mortality. A major effect of overconsumption of added sugar is the possibility of diabetes. As discussed earlier, diabetes increases an individual's risk of cardiovascular disease. It can cause damage to blood vessel walls and stiffen the heart muscle, increasing the risk of heart attack and damaging the body's ability to recover from a heart attack. As touched on earlier, atherosclerosis, or the buildup of plaque on the inside of blood vessels, increases cardiovascular disease risk. Added sugar intake increases blood glucose levels, and a 2010 study found a positive correlation between blood glucose levels and the presence of oxidized lipoproteins. These oxidized lipoproteins play a role in atherosclerosis. Increased consumption of processed foods increases blood pressure and places strain on smooth muscle cells in the arteries. This causes premature breakdown of elastin and an increased chance of heart attack. One of the proteins present in grains is called lectin. Lectin binds itself to carb-specific receptors on immune cells, resulting in inflammation. Certain types of lectin also harm the ability of red blood cells to successfully flow through blood vessels. This can place undesired strain on the heart.
Though quantified metrics of heart health are important in determining the paleo diet's viability, several ancillary factors exist that make this diet the best overall diet for heart health. Paleo diets, when properly instituted, promote the consumption of high-protein foods. Eating a diet high in protein lowers a hormone called ghrelin, which drives increased hunger levels. Higher hunger levels that stem from an elevation in ghrelin may predispose individuals to overeating, which according to a 2000 study from the American Heart Association was associated with a 4 times increased risk of cardiac event due to elevation of blood pressure from overeating. The increase in protein intake that follows the implementation of the paleo diet will decrease ghrelin and consequently lower blood pressure and risk of cardiovascular disease from reduction in meal size. Lower ghrelin levels can currently lower detrimental behaviors like snacking. Chronic snacking raises blood sugar levels and can lead to hyperglycemia and diabetes. Diabetes prevention is paramount to cardiovascular health, as according to a 2015 study by the World Journal of Diabetes, diabetes is a precursor to chronic hypertension and dyslipidemia. Dyslipidemia, or the elevation of total cholesterol levels, is a major factor in plaque formation in arteries, one of the most significant risk factors in coronary heart disease.